Well, live from Moore Gymnasium on the campus of Bethune-Cookman University in beautiful downtown Daytona Beach, Florida. It's time for Southwestern Athletic Conference volleyball action here on the CatEye Network. It's the Bethune-Cookman Wildcats and the Jackson State Tigers. Both have started with a win in their opening weekend of conference play and looking to climb the ladder in what could potentially be a very wide-open conference season. Wildcats 1-1 in conference play after beating Alabama A&M and falling to Alabama State in this building last weekend. They wrap up the 4-game homestand this week before headed next weekend to the SWAC pool play as we head down to the court for introductions. Well, I am not alone in the broadcast booth this afternoon. I'd like to bring in former Division I player and coach Taylor Pritchard. Taylor, a potential big day for Bethune-Cookman on the volleyball court as they have a chance to upset a Jackson State team that was picked one place above them in the preseason conference rankings.
Yeah, this is a great opportunity for the Wildcats. Last year against Jackson State, I believe, actually, it was their first round win in the conference tournament. So, Jackson State's going to be coming back with kind of that fire, trying to win back the last time that they met and get that bad taste out of their mouth. But if the Wildcats can kind of turn that back on them and really show, no, we are the ones who own this matchup, we're the ones who own this competition, then that's really going to set a standard and send a message to the rest of the conference as they're looking to kind of sort out and feel out how accurate those preseason rankings were.
We were talking pregame. It is wide open this season with FAMU losing early to Alabama State. Those two potentially the top two, but it may be chaos below them with B-CU, Jackson State, Alcorn State, Southern in the mix as well. It could be anybody's game. And the games are going to start coming in thick and fast as we start getting into pool play next weekend. It's a chance for the Wildcats to finish off their homestand with 2 wins this weekend. Of course, we've got Mississippi Valley coming in on Sunday. But today, it's the Wildcats of Bethune-Cookman in the black-gold libero. The Tigers of Jackson State in the white with the navy libero. Bethune-Cookman leads the all-time series between these two teams 4-3. Jackson State had won 3 in a row up until last season on Senior Day when the Wildcats unfortunately had to play their Senior Day up in Tallahassee due to a hurricane. They beat Jackson State, ended up qualifying for the conference tournament. Lively crowd inside Moore Gymnasium today as Jackson State receives the calendar serve for the first point, goes far side. There's Alexis Williams, who finds the corner and gives Jackson State their first point. That is Alexis Williams, their top kill getter on the season, 122, 2.71 per set, preseason all-SWAC, first team in the outside hitter position. And she will serve. First chance on the attack for Bethune-Cookman. Far side, tipped over. Played by Hope Briggs. Back row attack, middle. Callender has to tamely play this over. This is Williams to set it up. And a huge block at the front by Hightower. Tigers keep it alive on the slow ball. Hightower sends it down again. Williams has to play it over calmly. Quick reactions by the Wildcats to keep it in play. Here's a back row attack that is fumbled and falls for a Wildcat point. Nice hit by Melina Spencer.
And already we're seeing just how much Jackson State trusts Williams to take their swings. I mean, she's in the back row. They've got her swinging out of the back. That's a much more difficult position to score from than it is the front row. But they're putting their trust in her and saying, go out there and be our points getter.
Blocked again at the front. That was Melina Spencer doing the blocking. She'll get an outside hit chance here. Right off the libero. Back down to Briggs, who'll set. Into the middle, Moore digs it out. Dumped over into open space. Beautifully done by Callender.
And those you're going to see there. So since Alicia Callender is in the back row, she has to stay below the height of the net when she sends that ball over. So you're going to see her set it over rather than getting up and actually attacking it.
2-1 B-CU here early in the first set. Again, it goes far side. Another off the block, but that time it's just tooled out, and Jackson State ties the game.
Just a little bit late getting those hands up and over, and so it got caught with the ball back behind her head. That's why it was able to come off and stay on their own side.
This is Kiana Robinson serving now for Jackson State, the graduate transfer from Cal State Fullerton. Spencer again. Dug out by Williams. And a point to the Bethune-Cookman.
Double contact, that's always tough. And the setters are the ones that have the tightest call there because they're the only ones that actually get to use or that actually do really use their hands on the ball like that. But these refs are really starting to be a little bit more lenient with the double calls, trying to let the athletes go out and be athletic players.
That's Hightower serving to the middle and off the block and out. And we were watching them do that in warm-ups, that quick set to the middle for a back row attack.
Yeah, that's something that they're really going to try to work. They like their middle in the front row on that quick attack, but they also know that they have Williams coming out of the back and able to almost hide each other with that and create a four-hitter almost system.
Sliding through is Phillips. Big swing, but blocked on the outside from Darren Hughes, who's just checked in. And it's 4-3 Tigers. Hughes, the senior from Peoria, Arizona, played her entire college career at Jackson State at the Division I level, 1 year at Central State out in Arizona. This one has to go over, and
Good
it will.
Save.
And then fumbling the hit is Nigea Marceline, and the Wildcats will win a wild point to tie it at 4.
That's awesome. Those are huge momentum points, and definitely a great way to kind of prove to yourself that you're able to stay in this match and you're coming for this Jackson State team.
Madison Coates serving now, second in assists on the team with 113. First is Alicia Callender. Back set, off Keitel Price and down the front of her shirt. 5-4 Jackson State.
And they're running their middles on a really low, fast set, so the Bethune-Cookman block is going to have to make sure that they're really disciplined and getting their hands up and over the net quickly so that they stop getting caught behind their head.
Coates trying to replicate what they did last time, and A.J. Simmons, the freshman, with a nice soft touch. Simmons is one of those freshmen who just comes in and makes an immediate impact.
Absolutely. She's doing great for them. And, I mean, she trained and played as a middle all last year. They've moved her over to the right side. And so she's really taking on this role for the team that, you know, and doing great in there where they need her to be.
There's an ace for Essence Bell. Good to see Bell back after she was injured in the first match of the season all the way back against Marshall. And she's just now working her way back this week. Floats that one barely over the net. There's that quick to the middle. Bell digs it out. Coates to the right side, and floating that one too far is Elizabeth Phillips, another newcomer to this team, not a freshman, a transfer from Arkansas State, who has come in and made an immediate impact.
Yes, she has. She went off in the last matches that we saw this past weekend. So, you know, took her first swing and made a little bit of a miss there, but we'll see how she can kind of recover from that and see if she can pull out that same performance from last week.
Over the fingertips and out. Was there a touch? No. Point B-CU. And they're going quickly to that far side where Williams is lurking. That time she couldn't keep it in play. B-CU leads this first set 7-6. Riley Davis, the freshman at libero, is serving, and she serves that one out of play.
It's really going to be interesting to see how the Wildcats kind of put their emphasis on their first touch. I mean, they are erroring less than their opponents on the service line, but it's still happening, and it's still something that you want to make sure you're paying attention to, because if you can win the serve and pass game, you're going to win about 86% of the matches that you play.
First touch a bit too strong, goes back over the net, cleaned up in the middle by Kiana Robinson. And this first set has seesawed back and forth. Nobody can get a run going. It's currently 8-7 Tigers. Serve from Chambers, blocked and out. That was close, but the Wildcats tie it up at 8.
And this is the part of the game where these setters, Coates and Callender, are really trying to look across the net and see what are the Tigers doing? How are they following my middles? How are they kind of playing it? Are they staying neutral in the middle of the court, or are they actually following my middle so that I can go to the other side? Because all they're trying to do is search for those one-on-one opportunities.
That was a little bit tricky out of the middle there from Hope Briggs. She's the second leading kill getter on this team with 115. She kind of ran up like she wanted to hit that right-handed and then hit it left-handed, and it completely confused the B-CU defense. 9-8 Tigers. Callender quick to the middle and put
all the time. That stat is if you serve and pass better than your opponent, the rest of the statistics do not matter at all. You will win 86% of your games. So in a 100-game season, you'll be 86-14. That is how important the first touch is to giving your setters opportunities, giving your hitters opportunities. So they really have to make sure that they're attacking from the service line and giving themselves a chance when they're passing. That
last point was run by CatEye Price. She is ruthlessly efficient as a hitter, hitting a team best 317. That time, tooling the block is Williams, 16-12. But back on CatEye Price, the only reason she is not leading the conference in hitting percentage is he does not qualify for their leaderboards. You have to have at least 3 total attacks per set. She's sitting at about 285. As that set goes long, BCU will take back on a side out. That was a good pullback there from Phillips. She thought about passing that ball and got her platform out of the way just in time. 3-point lead for the Tigers, 16-13. Davis serving. And a huge block. Hightower's at it again. She's got her second of set number 1. And that's where Hightower is really doing what all of the BCU blockers need to make sure that they're getting at. Her feet were a little bit late getting out there, but the instant her hands came up and over the net, she was pressing over and into Tiger airspace. Everybody is coming up a little bit straight and then pushing their hands a little late. You want to come up and over as soon as your hands cross the plane of the net. Robinson to the middle, and that's the other thing. The Wildcats are struggling to defend this quick middle attack. It's coming from Williams, it's coming from Robinson, and it's coming from Dove as well out of the middle. Nyjah Gaddis. Setter will serve. 2 perfect passes, but the kill is rejected by Robinson. That was a great run there. Just a fantastic block at that point. I mean, that was exactly how that play should have been run. Good pass. The set went back, and there was only a single block there. Now, as a hitter, you want to try to find that open court. Oof, look out. Gaddis puts that one right in the net. You can tell she did not get the rotation on it she wanted out of her hand. Yep. Sometimes it comes off a little funny, and you just got to try to manage it at that point. Second service error of set number 1 for Jackson State. Bethune-Cookman has 1. They're hanging in there down 18-15. Calendar. That's a great serve, and it's an ace. And they really are attacking off of the service line right now. You know, you want to make sure that you don't start playing with your error ratio, but the serves are looking fantastic. Second ace of the game of set number 1 for Bethune-Cookman. That one really close to the net, but Gaddis just tips that one over into no man's land. And again, that's where you've got that back row setter there. You've got to understand that as they're coming up and they're sending this ball over, it's something that's liable to happen. Every time Bethune-Cookman thinks about making a run, Jackson State has an answer. Off the fingertips, Williams keeps it in play. Diving dig, Calendar back for Phillips. Blocked, out. And Phillips was reaching a little bit there, so rather than getting her feet all the way in front of that hitter, and if you know basketball, you want to kind of take a charge from the hitter. You want to get your body in front of them. She kind of left her body inside and reached out with her hands, and that presented an angle where it could come off her hands and go out of bounds. Long run for Calendar to set that one, and it's just too far on the awkward hit from Spencer. Timeout Bethune-Cookman as Jackson State has ballooned the lead to 21-16. The third of a 4-game homestand today for Bethune-Cookman. They'll have Mississippi Valley State coming in on Sunday at noon. And then they'll head to the first SWAC cluster all the way out in Houston as they'll play Prairie View Southern and the host Texas Southern. And talk about some of the challenges of playing in those pool play or pod play where you play 3, maybe sometimes 4 games over a weekend.
Yeah, those clusters are crazy. I mean, to have 3 matches in a weekend is something that most teams don't see. Bethune-Cookman got to have that experience during the preseason when they have their tournaments, and so that's something that you'll really hear the coaching staff focusing on, is that, this is great experience for us. The fatigue that we're going to have to work through is something that we're going to see again in these SWAC clusters. And then to think, I think one of them, they play at like 9 in the morning and then 7 p.m. on the same day. That is an incredibly long day for them. So it'll be really interesting to see kind of how they're able to push through the mental hurdles of the fatigue and stuff that's going to come from playing those matches on that kind of a schedule.
Of course, the Wildcats will host one of those clusters later on in the season on October 29th and 30th as Arkansas, Pine Bluff, Grambling State, and Alcorn State come to town. Williams a little bit too eager on the serve. Referees weren't ready. Williams also the Jackson State leader in service aces with 12. Calendar middle. Dug out by Trinity Bryant. And another block. Her third of set number 1. It's numero uno again.
That is incredible. Hightower just has a great feel for where to get her hands and how to reach into that hitter's space to make sure that she is giving them as little court to swing into as possible.
Phillips will serve. Also 12 aces on the season to lead Bethune-Cookman. Drops that one onto the arms of Bryant. This will be a long back set, and it does the job. Left hand swing from Hope Briggs, the freshman from DeSoto, Texas. And there are a lot of freshmen on this Jackson State team that are getting on the court immediately. Briggs is one. Gaddis is another one. Maya Reeves, we have not seen yet, will be a third in that hall. Bethune-Cookman is just running through Nyara Hightower right now.
And when you've got a hitter on a run like that, you want to feed her the ball. Now she's back in the back row. Let's see how she can attack from the service line.
Jackson State edging closer to a set 1 win, 22-18. Bethune-Cookman's got to set up a run, and they've got to do it now. They've really been unable to put together any sort of run. That goes cross-court off the net and out of play. That one looked like it almost came off the wrist or the forearm of Briggs instead of the hand.
Sometimes you just get a little too eager trying to, turn that super sharp angle that's going to let you sneak it past the block and end up pushing it out of bounds.
Hightower's got that high, slow, floating serve. Gaddis pushes it across, and it's in at the far corner for Alexis Williams. 23-19. In a set that was close until about 16-14, Jackson State has pulled away. Calendar pushes it across. That one's off the hands and out. Jasmine Moore, the team leader in kills, keeps this one alive. And it says a lot about these two teams when your team leader in kills has 60 on the season and Jackson State has 122.
And that just shows how much the Tigers are running through their volume hitter. They've also had a number of 5-set matches, so a number of opportunities to go and kind of bump those numbers up.
Serve goes long from Phillips, and Jackson State on set point, 24-20. B-CU trying to keep this set alive. Tigers are going to have a chance to finish it right here. It's Alexis Williams. It's blocked, but it's tooled off and out. And the Jackson State Tigers take set number 1, 25-20. Outside of the win against Mississippi Valley State, which they won 3-1 on last Sunday, they've won all of their matches 3-2. They beat Louisiana Monroe, Southeast Missouri, McNeese, and Tennessee State all 3-2 to Jackson to take their wins. They are 5-6 on this season and have really been the team that has represented the SWAC best in out-of-conference play.
Yeah, they've really had a run. I mean, to have all of their other wins be in 5 sets, that's something that the Wildcats really should take comfort in. You know, even losing this first one, Jackson State has shown that they have holes. They have the ability for someone to come in and take those sets from them. So all you have to do is turn around and be prepared to come back and actually, you know, go and attack and forget about this last set that just happened.
You see assistant coach James Goodridge on the B-CU sideline talking to A.J. Simmons about blocking and about directing those blocks back in instead of having them spin off and out of play.
Absolutely, and that's something that all of the Wildcats should be looking and paying attention to. I mean, Hightower has done a fantastic job, like I said, of getting her hands up and over the net as soon as she is coming up higher than the net, but everybody else is kind of coming around to the side. They're coming behind their head and then pushing over, and it's just presenting far too many opportunities for the Tigers to kind of hit it off of their arms and out of bounds. The way that you want to think about it is that you want to be a perfect block from the second your block is in the air. A lot of times you'll see blockers go up and they try to search for the perfect block in an instant rather than being perfect the entire time that they're up there.
Couple of stats from the first set. Jackson State outkilled Bethune-Cookman 17-9. Both teams had 6 attack errors. Jackson State out-hit Bethune-Cookman 314-115, and at one point in the middle of that set, when Jackson State kind of pulled away, Bethune-Cookman was hitting in the negatives. 14 assists to 9 for Jackson State. B-CU has 2 aces in the first set. Jackson State didn't have any of those. Both had 2 service errors. 3 total blocks for each side. Nyara Hightower was either solo or assistant on all those. Jones and Hughes each had 2 assisted blocks for Jackson State. JSU 11 digs to 9. If you're just joining us, Jackson State takes the first set 25-20 in a Friday evening SWAC volleyball contest here at Moore Gymnasium. It doesn't get easier for the Jackson State Tigers as they go to Florida A&M on Sunday, same day that the Wildcats welcome in Mississippi Valley State. Looking ahead to that Mississippi Valley State game a little bit, this is a very different Delta Devils team that only won 3 sets in all of last year. They've already been competitive in their only conference game, and they've pushed teams like Southern Mississippi to multiple sets.
Absolutely. You'll see a lot coming out of this Mississippi Valley team. I mean, they feel like they need to turn around the perception of their program, and they have a lot of new players coming in, a lot of kind of new perspectives and new energy for them to be able to run off of.
We'll see them on Sunday, but right now Bethune-Cookman trying to bounce back as they will be in the black, hitting left to right. Jackson State in the white, hitting right to left as we begin set number 2. Sorry, some people standing in front of us. We are, if you have never been to Moore Gymnasium and seen our broadcast position, we are tucked away in the corner of the gym, almost behind where Bethune-Cookman is playing at, to the very left off the camera. So if people are standing in the aisles of the seats, it becomes a little difficult for us to see. As Jackson State will serve to begin set number 2. Naja Gaddis will take the ball. First attack, into the pin. Jackson State gets the point.
And this is where you'll see that the Bethune-Cookman team has their pin hitters be pin hitters. Normally, number 16, Jasmine Moore, hits on the outside, and 15, Melina Spitzer, hits on the right side. But in order to keep them from kind of crossing in front of each other and causing confusion in the middle of the court, they'll actually stay on their respective pins for this entire point.
Nice rally going on here. Moore taps it over, and B-CU gives a little bit of Jackson State's medicine right back to him with the overhit. 3 times in that first set, B-CU was punished in that exact same way by overhitting on the first contact.
And you've got to really make a decision on those overpasses. You know, I used to have a coach that said you've got to keep it or kill it. So either give yourselves an opportunity to play or get up and put that point away.
Again, Gaddis just flicks that one over the net. 2-1 Jackson State early on here, set number 2.
And it's easy to kind of get wrapped up in that as a defender and start to think, I've got to pay a whole lot of attention to the setter and I've got to be prepared for it. But that is the strategy of doing that. You've got to remember that this has only happened 2 times. It's been 2 points out of the 50-something or almost 50-something that have already happened. So be calm, stay in your default volleyball, and then try to pick those up and react to it and read out to the normal play, which is for it to get set to a hitter.
Flying in from the back row is Simmons. Couldn't finish that one off between the hands of Spencer and down for a 3-1 Tigers lead.
And we're seeing this Wildcats defense run away from the ball a little bit. You start to talk as a defender about attacking the attacker. So you want to kind of move into this ball and try to play it in front of you, because the farther in front of you it is, the higher it is off of the ground, just by nature of this angle coming out and down. So we want to see these Bethune-Cookman defenders really trying to go out and attack the attacker and put themselves in a position where they don't have to dive for these balls.
Here's the freshman Mia Delahousse. The set was a little bit too far in front, and she didn't only tip into the hands of Hope Briggs.
And that's where you want to see Delahousse kind of reach in, push it onto the opposing blocker, and then wipe it out of bounds. Instead of just tipping straight back into them, try to come off the hands and out of bounds and still score that point.
That time, she does exactly that. Off the hands and out. Bethune-Cookman finally gets a second point and stops a 4-0 Jackson State run. It's 4-2. Delahousse, just a freshman, hasn't played much the last couple of weeks after starting very hot. That was a miss hit from Hightower on the serve.
A little bit of a slip there, it looked like.
But Delahousse, all the way from West Covina, California, part of the Prep Volleyball Top 150 high school rankings last year, Delahousse, and that one looked like it was going long, but Robinson decided to play it. That time, Callender digs it out. Punched over. Williams plays it again. And that time, Moore could not dive to it fast enough. 6-2.
Looks like there's a little bit of just general discombobulation going on. I mean, there were collisions. There were people kind of all over the place. So you really want to see the Wildcats start to pull themselves back together, refocus, and get back into the next point.
Delahousse, first contact. It'll go right back to her from Callender off the fingertips of the block. And another left-hand swing off the right side by Hope Briggs. That, you don't see that often, and it looks like it's crossing up the front line of Bethune-Cookman, and Coach Brittany Williams wants to talk about it.
Yep, and the setter there did a great job of what we call reversing the flow. So the pass got pushed forward, basically down to the bottom of the BC logo down in the center of the floor, and then the setter took that ball and kicked it back behind her all the way back out to the right pin. So as you're watching the game, you're kind of following it a little bit like a cat with a ball of yarn. As it moves one way, you start to float in that direction. And if the setter can reverse the flow like that and kick it back to the other side, it forces everybody to kind of stop, reset, and then get back over to that other attacker. And that's what Bethune-Cookman is not doing the best right now.
Wildcat Nation, the Wildcats return to Everbank Stadium this season for another SWAC matchup. Come on out and support your Wildcats at the home of the Jacksonville Jaguars. That's Saturday, October 21st. Get your tickets today at Ticketmaster.com. And Nike, the official outfitter of the Bethune-Cookman Wildcats, gear up on the newest B-CU Nike gear at Nike.com/Bethune-Cookman Wildcats. 7-2 early on in set 2. And I know you were talking about the block there earlier, but what does BCU have to do to kind of pull this set back, as Jackson State has all the momentum right now?
They just want to start bettering the ball. At this point, they're kind of letting things get out of hand and stay out of hand. You want to take bad and turn it into good, good and turn it into better, better and turn it into great. And so that is something like right there, you know, you have a set that goes a little bit low, a little bit off. It's not quite what you want. And then you turn it into a short tip that doesn't even cross the net. So you've got to take that okay, fine ball and turn it into something better.
That ball was going out, but Melina Spencer couldn't get out of the way. It deflects off her shoulder, and it's 2 straight aces for Jackson State to push the lead to 9-2.
And this is going to start to turn into a mental hurdle that the Wildcats are going to have to fight as well. It'll no longer be a technical thing, but you've got to deal with the momentum shift that comes from allowing a team to ace you and get all of these points in a row.
Keitel Price couldn't direct that one back over the net. We've seen a couple times Price struggle with that.
A little bit. She's one of the ones that likes to kind of come up from her side and then wait, and then present a good block. You want to make sure that you're getting over the net and into Tiger airspace as soon as possible.
Tipped over, in system to the middle. Price redeems herself a little bit by getting the solo block.
And now you turn around and you convert this into an earned point. You've got a point score here.
A couple of players on the court right now for Bethune-Cookman that were big for them last year, but have not seen a lot of playing time this year in Mecca Freeman and Keitel Price. Played by Marceline. And pinpoint accuracy again from the right side. Jackson State leads at 10-3.
And the Tigers will run Hope Briggs all over the court. I mean, she's taking swings from all the way out at the pen. She's taking swings from farther inside, closer to the center of the court. And her moving around like that is really forcing the Wildcats' outside hitters to track their attacker and figure out where to put their feet. They're not reading quite early enough. They're waiting and reacting to the ball. So you want to see them start to read and figure out where she's going before she starts to go there.
Another in-system ball that is tight to the net. Jackson State puts it down. Jordan Jones, the team leader in hitting percentage from the Tigers. 3rd on the team in kills a season ago. And that time, Karis Dove presents the Wildcats with an opportunity with the wide serve.
Let's see if Bell can really start to kick off a run. She's got a great serve on her, so you want to see this thing driving out and into the court.
Of course, with the limited playing time, Essence Bell only 3 aces on the season. Marceline, the initial contact, and it's dug into the stands. 13-4, and once again, the Wildcats can only get 1 point at a time. Nija Marceline, the senior, from Glendale, Arizona, back to serve. That is way out, almost to the hoop of the basketball court. Marceline, the transfer from Central Connecticut State. An all-NEC second-team performer, 332 kills in 2021. Her role has transitioned on this Jackson State team. Coates close to the net, Great dig from Marceline to keep it alive. And then it's hit into the net, a rare miss from Alexis Williams.
And that was a great job there by Jasmine Moore to kind of get up and take a big swing on that ball. You know, even though it wasn't necessarily in the perfect place, she drove that deep and into the court and got Jackson State out of system.
Bryant with first contact, and into the bench goes the block. Hightower was there again, but also A.J. Simmons.
Great block there by A.J. Simmons, really putting into practice what Coach Goodridge was telling her on the bench as she was getting her hands and her angle pointed back into back into the court, rather than pushed outside the antenna and pointing away from the court.
That was close, but it was out of play. You could tell that Jasmine Moore was reaching for that one, thinking it was going to stay in play. But just over the line. BC was battled back. They were down 10, and now they're down just 5. And out of play. Nice little mix-up from Williams, but couldn't steer it inside the line. Timeout, Jackson State.
And the Tigers have kind of helped Bethune-Cookman out a little bit here. They've had some errors come up, so you want, as the Wildcats, to kind of turn around and say, all right, we've been handed a few points. Now we have to go out and earn some to match that. And that is how you start to really chip away at that gap, at that point differential. But also make sure that you are staying on top of what you need to do and not just relaxing and letting the other team error themselves out.
And on that note, Bethune-Cookman only hitting .048 to Jackson State's .269. It's come down from almost .350 what they were hitting in the first set, but still, Bethune-Cookman, they've had the last 6 points to bring this gap down to just 4, but it's been on the Jackson State errors, not on their own points, which is kind of the opposite of what happened to them against Alabama State last weekend, where Alabama State wasn't hitting that great. In fact, I think B-CU out-hit them, but the errors were what killed the Wildcats.
Exactly, and you really start to focus on your unforced errors. You know, the number of times that you give the other team a point without them having to do anything. They don't have to get a block. They don't have to get a kill. They don't have to, do something that shows that they can actually hang with you. If I'm hitting in the net, if I'm hitting out of bounds, if I'm serving out of bounds, those unforced errors are what can end up killing you.
Davis with her 4th serve in a row, trying to make it 5 consecutive for Bethune-Cookman. And that's wide. Well, Jackson State all in their own heads right now. Jordan Jones pushed that one too long. And this is a 3-point lead now for Jackson State, 13-10. Another good serve, forcing a bad pass. And it's blocked. Hightower again.
And here you're probably expecting the Tigers to go to Williams, go to their big hitter. I mean, this is where you say, look, you score a lot of points for us. We trust you. We want to give you the ball.
7th straight serve. That might have looked going long, but Jackson State plays it. Tipped off the block. Somehow kept alive. But out.
And that's exactly what the Wildcats should have expected. You know, they know that their block has been getting up, has been doing really, really well for them, so they've got to be ready for the off speed or something to come off of the hands. That's where you say pick up 100% of the easy stuff. Anything that is not a hard-driven swing, you've got to go run down and get.
Into the floor. Somehow kept alive. B-CU will play this in system with Coates. To the middle, rejected by Williams and Robinson. And now you feel that Jackson State's got their mojo back. They've got 2 straight points.
Now we've got to see if the Wildcats can continue their momentum, continue the work that they did to bring themselves out of that hole and turn that into an advantage for them.
Good first pass, pushed all the way across. Fastball into the corner from Jasmine Moore.
Great first contact there from Essence Bell. She just has such incredible touch on the ball with her platform. And that's where you can really see that when you have that good pass, it gives your setter more opportunities because the Tigers defense can't read and follow that ball of yarn like we were talking about earlier. They've got to wait, stay neutral, and then react to the ball after it's been set.
That one's way out. Another service error from Alicia Callender. Wildcats 3 service errors to 2 aces now. 16-12. Wildcats still hanging in there in this set. But when it was 13-3, it kind of felt like this one might be over and done with quickly, but the Wildcats still fighting. Joust at the net. Jackson State keeps it alive. Gaddis off the hands, and it doesn't matter if it landed in or out. It's a Jackson State point anyway.
Little late there, getting up and over, coming off of the joust and then trying to reset and get back out to that next ball is tough, and Hightower couldn't quite get there.
Once again, when Jackson State is playing in system, getting their hitters in stride to the net, they're very tough to stop, very accurate in finding space with both the off-speed and the full-speed swings.
Absolutely, and that's where you want to make sure that you're really kind of maximizing what you do with your contacts. There's the when you're looking at stats, and especially as deep as the coaching staff is going to look into them, you've got your hitting efficiency, which is how many kills minus how many errors divided by your attempts. So it's like your batting average. There's also your efficacy. So the balls that are in play, how good am I doing at them? Are they getting a really bad pass off of my serve? Are they getting a really bad dig off of my swing? Or are they kind of caking it, and putting a really good point up there? And so that's where you start to wonder what the efficacy of Bethune-Cookman is on these balls that are going in play.
Into the net twice, but Jackson State saves it and wins the point.
Tough miss there between the outside and the libero, Freeman and Davis. That's one where you want your libero to go and run that down. That's what she's there for. Her whole role is to be back there, be a defensive player, make sure that you're picking up the first contact and doing a really great job with it and letting your hitters go out and be hitters. But Freeman was a little over-eager to get in and try to make that dig. They ended up colliding, and it just wasn't quite there.
Jackson State 2 years ago in 2021 played in the inaugural version of the NIVC, which is kind of like the NIT in basketball, a second tier of postseason tournament. The first team from the SWAC to participate in that event. They lost in round one to Southern Miss, but just getting to that far, getting to beyond the conference postseason, says a lot about this Jackson State program and what they've been able to do over the past 10 years.
Yeah, that's a huge deal. I mean, with the implementation of the NIVC, it's giving so many more teams an opportunity to play deep into the season. It used to be that you would have to schedule just a non-conference game, once your season was done. And if you didn't make it into your conference tournament or something, you have kind of this random match hanging off the end of your season there. But now with the NIVC, if you're going out, you're getting into your conference tournament, you're making it almost all the way there, you can start to train yourselves to be prepared for the NCAA tournament when that comes around, because it's such a different experience from a regular match.
Tight to the net, blocked, kept alive by B-CU. 2 blocks in the same point, and a double touch gives Jackson State a 20-12 advantage. So we saw Jackson State race out to a 13-3 lead. B-CU pull it all the way back to 13-11, and now a 7-1 run for Jackson State has put them on the brink of set number 2, 20-12. Serve is long from Gaddis. B-CU will take side out.
And you're watching those unforced errors start to creep back up for the Tigers. So is that going to be kind of the story of this set, is that when the Tigers are airing themselves out, B-CU can capitalize on that and bring themselves back. They're not also erroring to keep the score even, but they're also not really attacking and driving themselves forward.
Jackson State in the net. Bethune-Cookman takes the point off the serve from Jasmine Moore. And Moore's serve is so unlike anything else that the Wildcats offer, with that long run-up and hard swing. Something different for defenses to look at.
Exactly.
Unfortunately, sometimes that happens.
Yeah. The jump topspin serve is something great. I mean, you want to have it mixed into the rest of your team that maybe does a standing float or a jump float. It just gives like you were saying, it gives the passers a different thing to have to look at. They can't really get into a rhythm as easily.
Another long first pass, dumped down by Jackson State, 22-14. Remember, the Tigers have not won a match 3-0 or anything less than 3-1.
And you saw Callender kind of pull her hands down there. She is back row right now, so if she were to go up and try to do that joust, she would actually be a back row blocker, and that would have been the Tigers' point automatically.
B-CU gets the point with the off-speed. Long way back for the Wildcats here in this set at 22-15. That time the off-speed wasn't great. Jackson State is in the net again.
Looked like a double contact there from Williams. Yep, got a little excited, saw an opening on the court and tried to send it over on the second hit, and ended up just getting a little overeager and, ended up with that double contact.
Hightower still serving. That flat serve with almost no spin on the ball. And another block for BCU. K-Tall Price.
And that's where Price really got up and over and into that airspace. You know, it's such a it's something that the kids start to say, you know, oh, you're sounding like a broken record, but it really is the case. If you can get over and be a good, strong block in your opponent's airspace for as long as possible, you end up with that result much more often.
Nobody attacked that third ball for Jackson State, giving BCU a chance. And tooling the block is Mecca Freeman. And once again, BCU backs against the wall, putting up a late run here in set number 2. Still a long way back, down 22-18. That time, Hightower puts them off from top spin on the serve, but Jackson State ready for it. Williams again, 2 points away. Delahousse, fingertips up into the ceiling, has to be played across, sent right back over to the middle, blockered out. Wildcats still alive. That time both teams looks a little out of sorts. The final bounce with the Wildcats' way as the Let's Go Wildcats chant starts to ring around more gymnasium. Not a bad crowd for a Friday evening. Off the fingertips, Coates to set it up. Delahousse. It's out of bounds.
And you saw Davis there, the libero, step in and play that second ball with her platform. She set the ball with her platform, and that's because as the libero, if you get up in front of the 10-foot line and you use your hands to set the ball, whoever hits it next has to act like they're a back row attacker. Basically, they're trying to make it so that you can't make your libero also be your setter and play against the substitution rules that way.
Set point for Jackson State. Looking to finish it right here out of the back row. Williams off speed. Delahousse with the dig. Simmons. Great diving stop. But then the hit goes long. Commendable effort from Nija Marceline out of the back row to keep that alive for Jackson State, but the Wildcats will see another point.
And it looked like she was trying to make sure that she took a direct enough line there that it wasn't high and looping and easy for the Wildcats to run down, but unfortunately just pushed it a little too far, a little too fast.
And the set ends on a service error. Jackson State takes set number 2, the exact same score of set number 1, 25-20. Wildcats hitting under 100 for the match. Let's get you some set 2 specific stats. 14 kills to 6 for Jackson State. 6 errors for Jackson, or 9 errors, excuse me, for Jackson State in that second set. That's really what kept it Bethune-Cookman in it. Bethune-Cookman hit 0 for the set. Same number of errors as kills. Service aces 1-0 for Jackson State. Blocks 4-3 for BCU. They still lead in that category, as they probably will in every match they play this season. But 4 service errors just could not get any rhythm going, especially late.
Yeah, that's a tough one. I mean, it just shows you how much every single point matters in a game. I mean, they ended up pulling back to within 5 points. It was 25-20, which is a solid showing if you look just at the end result. But to have that kind of score, I mean, 14 kills to 6 is kind of an astronomical difference, you know, when you only have 25 points to play. So the Wildcats are really going to have to kind of come to each other in this huddle and figure out what they want to do moving forward and how they're going to come back and attack the Tigers.
We'll take the longer break between sets 2 and 3. We'll be back in about 3 minutes after this word from Bethune-Cookman University football. This season, Bethune-Cookman University is celebrating 100 years of Wildcat football.
It's a celebration.
Head coach Raymond Woody has his team ready to roar. Cheer on the maroon and gold as they take on the best of the Southwestern Athletic Conference. Be there for every touchdown, every big hit, every memorable moment. All season long on WELE 1380 The Cat and streaming at WELE1380thecat.com. Bethune-Cookman Volleyball is off to a hot start in SWAC play. Come support your Wildcats Sunday at noon at Moore Gymnasium as they take on Mississippi Valley State, or watch live on the CatEye Network. That's Sunday at noon Eastern. Michael Travillo, Taylor Pritchard back at Moore Gymnasium as we are getting ready to start set number 3. Bethune-Cookman trails Jackson State 2-0. And Taylor, 2 sets that ended in the exact same score, both 25-20, but that felt completely different. Set 1, Jackson State and B-CU kind of tied all the way, trading point for point before Jackson State had a little run at the end to take it. Set 3, Jackson State got off to a huge lead. The Wildcats came back, but in the end could not come back far enough.
Absolutely, and that's something where you kind of take a little bit of comfort in that second set loss, in that you know that you have the ability to play with this team to where you can come out of holes like that. You just have to keep yourselves in a position where you don't get into that hole in the first place.
Jackson State looking for their first 3-set win of the year. All their wins have been either 3-2 for 4 of them, and then 3-1 against Mississippi Valley to open up conference play. They beat Louisiana Monroe, Southeast Missouri, McNeese, and Tennessee State, all 3-2 in non-conference play. Bethune-Cookman did not have a non-conference win. Their first win of the season was their conference opener against Alabama State a week ago today. Alicia Callender will have the serve to start set number 3. Callender, the junior from Puerto Rico. Had a major role on the team last year. And that role is just upped this year after the loss of Adriana Marrero to the transfer portal. Callender puts the ball in play. Williams off speed, somehow kept alive by Davis, but it couldn't be followed up on 1-0 Jackson State. Maybe a consideration for letting that one go.
And it looks like they actually switched Essence Bell with Riley Davis, so we've got a new libero over on the Wildcats side now.
Good catch. Bell has not played libero since that first game in which she got hurt. Dumped down through the middle by Nyara Hightower. Her 5th kill of the match. That leads all Wildcats. Closest to her is Jasmine Moore with 3. Leading everybody in the game is Briggs for Jackson State, 8 kills. Which is surprising with how much they've gotten through Williams that Briggs actually leads the match in kills.
You've really seen the Wildcats struggle to handle that left-handed attack, and especially with the fact that she runs all around the court, out on the pin, into the center of the court. So it's something that we'll see if Bethune-Cookman can make the adjustment and pick them back up.
Briggs hits it long that time. Bethune-Cookman takes their first lead of the set, 2-1. And their first lead since set number 1. They never had one in set 2.
And it looks like the Lady Tigers getting a little bit of a finger wag there from the down ref, protesting that was touched rather than out of bounds.
Williams forced to set this one. Bethune-Cookman will play it. Tap to the middle. 3 Tigers collide. Back row Williams blocked by Hightower. Tigers keep it alive. Back row swing, tamely played by Davis. Back to Freeman, and it eventually goes into the stands. 3-1 Wildcats. That's the first time we've really seen the Tigers confused and kind of not knowing what to do in this game.
A little bit of a collision there, yeah.
Up into the ribbing. Tipped over. That time the Wildcats ready for the off speed. Hightower tries to give them a taste of their own medicine. And fired long. 2 errors in a row from Briggs. Tough start to set number 3 for her, the freshman from DeSoto, Texas. Played her club volleyball for one of my favorite club names, Mad Frog Volleyball.
And Mad Frog is a great club.
This has to go over after it was blocked down into the net. Did that go over? No.
Nope.
And again, tough to see at our angle.
Yeah. Little too far inside, very much tight. It's one of those balls that's really, when you're, setting it from that deep in the court, it's hard to find the balance of getting it up into the front row where your attacker can go and take a front row swing, but not running too far away from them too fast so that they can't actually get their feet there and get to it.
Kayana Robinson serving, second on the team in aces this year with 10. She serves from way far back. And we have the exact same result. First touch into the net.
Wildcats have got to pull this pass off. They're aiming for high and in the center of the court. That's your bullseye. If you think about it like a dartboard, you want to put that ball high in the center of the court, and then if you miss a little bit, you still got a great pass.
That time the Wildcats win it, and like you said, the first pass right into the middle. Essence Bell set it up perfectly.
Absolutely, and Bell has a fantastic touch with that platform, so it'll be interesting to see how she can take over and really, use that to the Wildcats' advantage.
5-3 Cats. Serve goes long, and another miss for B-CU. Service error number 7 of the match for the Wildcats. Now Dove to serve. Moore. Pushed across into the nets. Marceline, she is rarely on the end of those attacks and overhit that one.
And that was a little bit lucky there for the Wildcats. You saw Freeman and Price out there. Both of them didn't quite get their feet there. They were reaching out and then just kind of managed to miss the opportunity to get tooled.
And with Nyara Hightower off the floor, Essence Bell can't direct that one skyward. It really diminishes the effectiveness of the B-CU block.
And that was a great run there by the Tigers. You saw 21 coming in for a fastball out of the middle, while Williams, number 11, was coming out of the back row in the middle. Both of them stacked on top of each other like that makes it very difficult to figure out which ball was being set and who you're blocking.
More tools the block. B-CU back up by 2-7-5. And that's once again Essence Bell first contact. Sets up a nice pass to Madison Coates for the set. And now we've got that serve that is so beautiful when it's done right. Jasmine Moore with the ace, her 4th of the year. It has so much topspin, it just arcs down off the net. And finding the back corner is Jones.
That was a great second read there by the Tigers libero. You know, you catch that ball off the top of the tape. You think that it's going to one place. It catches the tape, and unlike in tennis, you still play that ball. So you've got to figure out where it's going after it hits the net and go make that play.
That was Trinity Bryant who just served. Robinson wins a joust against Hightower. No, correction, against Price. And once again, it's 8-7. Jackson State, after starting this set slow, has come back. Delahousse first contact. Gets it back from Coates, blocked. Bell keeps it alive. Delahousse with a second swing. It's in!
And that is a great, sharp 4-to-4 swing from zone 4 to zone 4. And Delahousse is so long that she could get up. She didn't get a full approach into that ball. She just jumped up, used her length to get up, and high point that ball across court.
Tallest player on either team is Mia Delahousse at 6'3". Off speed from Williams. Jackson State keeping this one close, 9-8. Alexis Williams, that's her 8th kill of the match, tying Briggs for most of anybody. This is Gaddis serving now. First touch goes back over. Gaddis will set. And it's out of play from the middle.
And this is where we've seen the B-CU team kind of, the Jackson State still has their errors, but B-CU is making sure that they're capitalizing upon their opportunities as well, and that's why they're up in this set.
Right now, hitting over 100 points better than they were last set. And it looks like we might have a ripped jersey, or...
It looks like blood on her jersey.
From Kiana Robinson. And she's going to have to be taken out unless they get to have another jersey for her.
Yep, got the AT coming up. They're trying to figure out where she's bleeding from and what's going on there.
So we will have a small timeout here while we get the jersey rectified. Make sure you are representing Bethune-Cookman University Athletics to the fullest. Buy the latest B-CU gear online at the Bethune-Cookman online store. Go to bcuathletics.com and click on shop to find the newest B-CU clothing and apparel. That's bcuathletics.com and click on shop. Well, Taylor, Alexis Williams has gone to that off-speed drop shot a couple of times this match, and it's seemingly finding the floor every time. What does B-CU need to do to defend against that?
They've got to be prepared for 100% of the easy stuff. It's not like Jackson State is coming out and bouncing everything. and then also getting the off speed on top of it. The off speed is really where the Wildcats are finding themselves struggling. So be ready for that ball first. You want to make sure that you're on your toes, you're ready to go and run down anything that's off speed as quickly as possible. And then if you read that the attacker is going to take a big swing, you can start to kind of dig in a little bit and prepare for it, but you still want to be light on your feet. What you find is that especially when you're younger, you kind of ingrain the bad habit of, oh my gosh, I think someone's going to hit hard. And so you kind of sink in real hard and get real tense and tight. And that's something that you have to kind of detrain yourself from as you start to get into these higher level matches, because while the hitters do have power, you have to understand that you have the ability to go out and make that play. You've seen someone hit that hard before. So now let me go and play the percentages, play this higher percentage ball, which is the off-speed shot, and go run that down.
Robinson allowed to continue for Jackson State. BCU with a 10-8 lead and the serve. Here's Callender. That looked like it came off the inside of her hand, barely cleared the net. It's going to be a tough play for Jackson State off the ceiling. Callender back set, cross court, kept alive by Gaddis. Off the fingertips, Wildcats will play it. Callender to set to the far side. Delahousse off the fingertips. Jackson plays it. Gaddis across. Williams with the swing. And Callender could not guide that one back towards the net. Side out for Jackson State, 10-9. And Williams will immediately go back to serve. Bell first contact, Callender back set. Delahousse off the block and down.
And Mia Delahousse has been doing a fantastic job for the Wildcats here.
And now Riley Davis is going to come in to serve. And when the Wildcats went on that big 7-point swing in set number 2, she was the server for all of it. That time the dump is handled by BCU. Freeman can't get the kill. Alexis Williams towards the net, touched over from Hightower. Swing, blocked. Hightower got a hand in there again. Moore, touched over. Marceline plays it. Short from Briggs, back over from BCU. Gaddis to the middle, kept alive by Hightower, punched over by Davis. Williams with the swing, Callender the dig. And 2 Wildcats went for the set at the same time and end up playing it out of bounds.
And that was a miscommunication there. So usually what happens is if your setter takes the first contact, your libero steps in and sets that second ball. Davis has been the libero for the first 2 sets and is usually the one that takes it. Now with the libero switch, those 2 players have to get it back into their heads of who has that ball.
Wildcats still with the 11-10 lead off the palms of Freeman. Pushed across through the arms of the block from Marceline. Now, I'm watching Kiana Robinson serve here. She stands so far back of the back line and stands both feet planted on the ground. Of course, that's not a great example because it went into the net, but that may be one of the strangest serve routines I've ever seen.
Yeah, that's something that, you start to really develop your serving routine as you're a younger athlete. And so sometimes those kind of routines and stuff stick around through your way to college. That looks like something that she might have kind of brought into her game as a younger athlete. And it looks like they called a back row attack there on Williams. So she stepped on the 3-meter line or on the 10-foot line. And then contacted the ball above the height of the net.
I was about to praise Gaddis for a fantastic set from outside the pin. That time it does work for Briggs, but on the point before where Jackson State was called for the violation, Gaddis was almost on the Wildcat script on the court and set it all the way back to the middle. 13-12, BCU with the narrowest of margins of a lead here in set number 3, trying to stave off a 3-0 defeat at home to Jackson State. Jackson State seeing all the chaos at the top of the table from the traditional SWAC powerhouses, thinking they could have a piece of this SWAC title this year. Marceline. Bell with a huge dig. Platform set. Bell has to play it over. And out. Marceline tried it again, hit it long.
And that was a great heads-up play there by Bell. She had to send that free ball over, but sent it into the hands of the opposing setter and made sure that they were still out of system, even though I got to send over an easy ball.
Coach to serve this one as she replaces Calendar. That serve has almost no spin on it, almost like a knuckleball in baseball, and the exact same thing happens 2 points in a row. Marceline goes with the interior hand swing off the left-hand side and hits it long. And I think that, is Jackson State challenging, or is that a timeout?
I think it was a timeout. I think the SWAC is not using the challenge replay system right now. But it is something that, is coming. The NCAA is going to mandate it soon for all conferences. I believe that Bethune-Cookman has the system, but you've got to, work within the conference's rules. So it'll be interesting to see how that changes the game once they are able to add their challenge replay system in.
It is just a timeout. Jackson State down 15-12. Wildcats with a 3-point lead. Stay up to date with B-CU Athletics by checking out the Wildcats on social media. Give B-CU Athletics a like on Facebook and follow the Wildcats on Twitter and Instagram at BCU_Athletics. For the latest on B-CU Volleyball, follow at BCU_VB on Twitter and Instagram. You want to follow that. Some great behind-the-scenes stuff being posted, especially on the Instagram story all the time. And you can get, if you can't watch us on the CatEye Network or be here in person, you get your in-game updates, post-game score graphics, and more, all at BCU_VB. Wildcats in the driver's seat for the first time in this matchup, 15-12, and now they're going to have to do something which, for the last 2 seasons, has been tough for this Maroon and Gold squad, is close sets efficiently.
Very much so. They really like to jump out to a hot lead and then sometimes struggle with the follow-through on the end of it. So it's interesting to see kind of the transition in this team and pulling through on the back half of the match.
Coates' serve goes over the net. Coates. Simmons pushes it down, and Bryant couldn't reach it. Largest lead of any point of the match for Bethune-Cookman, 16-12. That time, Coach's serve goes to the back row. Middle attack into the net from Jones. I want to praise Madison Coach's serve. It just almost has no rotation at all, as this time Jackson State takes a timeout that is not the media timeout, so they will spend one of their 2. But let's talk about that for a second, because I mentioned the knuckleball comparison in baseball, and the reason why you throw a knuckleball is because it moves unpredictably in the air, because the air resistance on it is not affected by rotation, so the whatever inconsistencies are in the air move the ball around. Is that a similar idea as to why you would play a serve that way?
That's exactly it. If you want to get real nerdy about it, you're trying to play with the laminar flow of the air and how that kind of flows around the aerodynamics of the ball with the leather panels. There's 3 panels, kind of giving their own ridges and stuff, and like you said, into the inconsistencies in the air. You can have some float serves if you put no spin on it that start to do some really crazy things. I mean, I've seen balls come off of a hand and go, in this almost a 3-foot side-to-side pattern where it goes all the way from your left side over to your right side, and it makes it very, very difficult to track and pass. You've got to both stay relaxed but also be very accurate and on top of where you're tracking your platform.
And Madison Coates has used that serve to give BCU a 3-0 run over 2 timeouts. Marceline's shot is rejected by Delahousse. Correction, that was Catal Price on the block. And good to see the Wildcats gather around Catal Price, who's had kind of a tough beginning to this season. 18-12, Wildcats. Price digs it out, goes all the way back. Coates with the connection. It goes over. Played by Bryant. To the net, blocked, but it's tooled all the way from right to left and out.
And that was a great job there by the Jackson State setter to get under that ball, use her hands, and still send it back to the right side. It was really low and very, very easy for her to have sent that out to the outside hitter, but to kick it back to the right side is something that, clearly worked against the Wildcats defense.
That time, Price could not get a clean connection on it. A quick 2-point swing for Jackson State. It's a 4-point set. Job not done yet for B-CU. Down 2-0 in this match. Coates, awkward set, but powered through by Moore. From the back row, Marceline Long. And Nyjah Marceline, the senior transfer from Central Connecticut, had kind of a tough third set. Williams not on the floor a lot, as maybe they're trying to get some rotations in. Marceline's been the primary attacker. Moore with that fast service. Set from outside the pin. Played over. Bell. Delahousse now on the floor. Coates recovers. Bell to set again. This time to Simmons. Dropped in. Bryant collects. Williams back on the floor. And out of bounds on the far side. That couldn't have missed by much. And Jackson State's going to get a bench warning as Coach Washington is all the way almost on the court protesting that took a touch, and she's going to get a yellow card.
Yep. That's something that really kind of, gets to you, gets under your skin when you're an athlete, is you're convinced that the other team touched the ball and that should be your point. And especially in this case, it would have been 19-15 rather than 20-14. That is a big swing.
But again, with no challenge system in place, and
right,
maybe if there was a challenge system, that would have been overturned, but it's not in place here. The calls of the referees stand. Another serve in play from Moore, quick to the middle, tapped over from Price. Williams, big swing, sent back where it came from by A.J. Simmons. The crowd is into it. You can tell the Wildcats are back into it, 21-14. And how quickly the script can flip. Another great serve. Bryant digs it out. Tossed to the middle. Bell sending it up for Simmons. Quarter to quarter!
And Simmons is really doing a fantastic job over there right now of just playing her role very, very well. She's hitting her blocking assignment. She's hitting her attacking assignment. She's swinging into the deep part of the court. She's doing a fantastic job.
A.J. Simmons, whose mother played volleyball at Florida State, as another block, but that one goes out of bounds. Almost 3 straight points accredited to Simmons, the freshman. Jackson State finally sides out, down 22-15. Bell plays it. Coates quickly. Delahousse finds a way to get it down past the block of Hughes. Wildcats 2 points away. Bell at the service line. Remember, this would be only one set. Wildcats down 2-0. This one's going to have to be played over tamely. Coates, Simmons, it's so fitting. It's so fitting that A.J. Simmons potentially is the one to close this one out.
And Jackson State just cannot stop her over on the right side.
Last Sunday it was Phillips. Now it's Simmons. 2 newcomers to this program, one a freshman, one a transfer. That one barely goes over the net. To the middle, tipped, kept alive. Simmons pushed it back over. Simmons on the block this time. Delahousse keeps it alive. It's dumped to the ground. This one's going to have to go over by Bryant. Coates pushed it across. Delahousse! And the Wildcats storm to a set 3 victory, 25-15. They get 5 of the last 7 points to close it out.
That was a great run by the Wildcats coming back into it, and a fantastic job by everyone to make sure that they were just playing their role, doing their job. And that is how, when you put everything together, you end up with a fantastic outcome.
The bench is going nuts. They changed ends, and everybody came together in a massive group. You'd think they would have won the match, but it's only one set, and they've got to do it all again to prevent going down 3-1.
Absolutely. You've got to make sure that you're staying on top of this, staying ready for the next point to come, the next set to come. You know, the same way that you want to get past a loss and move on to the next set, you also have to get past a win and move on to the next set.
So what is Brittany Williams saying in this huddle right now? She's got 2.5 minutes to corral the troops and send them back out there.
I mean, I think she's probably coming in just telling everybody, look, you've proven to yourselves and you've proven to Jackson State that you can play with them, that you can beat them, and you can beat them handily. So we have to continue to play this game, continue to play the way that we train, and make sure that we're capitalizing upon the opportunities that we have to go out and take this match from the Tigers.
But it's interesting, before Coach Goodrich is speaking now, but before that, it was Katal Price that was leading the discussion, just the sophomore.
And that's something that you really want to see. I mean, you talk about how player-run teams are the best ones out there. If you can have not just your coaching staff coaching from the top down, but you can also start to talk to each other about what's going on, about what you see, about how to go out there and advance the ball. That's something that is really going to make you a successful team.
Come be a part of B-CU Athletics and support the CatEye Network. If you or your business is interested in partnering with us here on the CatEye Network, you can reach out to the Wildcats Athletic Communications Department at BCU Sports Info at cookman.edu. That's at BCU Sports Info at cookman.edu. And your business could be on the air with the Wildcats. And on the other side, Jackson State, Coach Washington, she's been at this for almost 30 years. She's got to just be saying, calm down, we're still in the lead. Just do what we've done in the first 2 sets and we'll get out of here.
Definitely. That's, this is where you just kind of calm everybody back down. Make sure that you get back to playing your default volleyball. They know that they had a lot of errors in that set. And so they've got to come in and really make sure that they are staying on top of their unforced errors, especially, and capitalizing upon the opportunities that they have.
Yeah. So what's interesting about Rose Washington and her story is that she graduated from LSU in 1977, coached a little bit as a grad assistant and then as an assistant coach, then got out of volleyball, moved to LA, owned a small business for 18 years, and then got back into it, and for the last 20 years has been the coach at Jackson State.
That's an awesome kind of transition to make. You go out, you see the world, you start a business, you do what you want to do, and then, excuse me, and then to come back and get back into your passion, get back into your love is a great thing.
B-CU a chance to push this one to all 5 sets, but they got to do it again. It is 0-0 on the scoreboard, 2-1 in favor of Jackson State. Here we go. The Tigers will begin this 4th set. Nyjah Gaddis will serve. We didn't actually get to do a stat rundown, but I'll do a big stat update that's very important. The Wildcats now have a higher total hitting percentage for the match than the Tigers do.
That shows an incredible kind of advancement during that 3rd set. You've got to see now if they can continue that throughout the 4th and 5th.
First attack from Freeman is defended well. Off the hands, punched away, still kept alive. Callender sends it over. Bell up into the ceiling. Callender off the platform into the net, and it goes over, but it's out of play.
Those are tough. You swing into the net, and sometimes it falls your way, sometimes it doesn't. But to make that play out of the ceiling was a great job by the Wildcats.
Callender with 2 great sets in that first point. Unfortunately, it goes JSU's way. Gaddis serving again. Callender quick to the far side. Down from the pin from Mecca Freeman. Riley Davis comes in to serve. She's been the best Wildcat at the service line today.
She's got a fantastic jump float on her.
This time they go back row, targeting Marceline. Bell with a great dig. It goes off the ceiling. It deflects to the back row. Davis plays it over Teamley. Bryant straight up in the air. Williams finds the floor. And that's the thing that Jackson State got way away from in set number 2. They did not go to Williams as much as they did in the first 2 sets.
So we'll see her kind of really taking a front role in this last set, I'm sure, or in this 4th set, excuse me.
Williams serving, the 2023 first-team All-SWAC preseason performer. Blocked over the net, batted down by Hope Briggs. This is the kind of start for Jackson State you kind of had dreamed of over on the bench, kind of breaking that momentum early on.
Yep, and you want to see the Wildcat defenders, like we were talking about before, they really need to start attacking the attackers. They're kind of running away. They're letting the ball get down way too close to the ground and making their lives much more difficult than if they're moving forward to play the ball.
This will be in system for Jackson State. Briggs fires and scores. So after the Wildcats took an early lead, it's 4 straight for Jackson State. They lead at 4-1. Bell first contact. Callender finally gets a set, and it's blocked. Hope Briggs blocking it less than a half a block per set. Gets that one down.
It looks like we're getting a little bit away from bettering the ball. That set was a little low, a little fast. Jasmine Moore was a little bit late and slow to get there. And so you start to kind of combine errors like a lift right there. That's tough. You know, when you start to string errors together, you really start to get into a momentum shift. And I think that's why Coach Williams is calling this timeout.
That's a quick timeout, 6-1, but no room for error for Bethune-Cookman. Got to get back in this one, 6-1. We'll take a short break and have this word from B-CU football.
The Bethune-Cookman Wildcats are on the prowl with a new head football coach, Raymond Woody.
We're going to get 1% better every day, okay?
Don't miss a moment of the action with veteran play-by-play announcer, Mike Torello.
Here's the belt high snap, hand off to Robinson on a draw, straight up the middle. Nobody touches Jimmy Robinson as he rumbles into the end zone. Touchdown, Bethune-Cookman.
Every snap on your official station for Wildcat Sports, WELE 1380 The Cat. On your iPhone and streaming at WELE1380thecat.com.
Back at Moore Gymnasium, 79 of you tuned in on the CatEye Network today. Thank you so much for your patronage, including Kashana Luckett. JSU basketball players tuned in, watching her volleyball fellow Tigers. We appreciate everybody tuning in, whether you're a fan of B-CU, Jackson State, or just love good college volleyball. We appreciate your patronage here on this Friday evening on the east coast of Florida. 6-1 Jackson State. Bell first contact to the middle, and finally something goes for Bethune-Cookman. When they need something to go, they go to number 1, Nyara Hightower. And now Hightower will go back to serve. Bryant. Nice first touch, and Hightower couldn't corral the kill.
It's a tough dig there for a middle. You see that every 6 rotations, Essence Bell, the libero, has to come off the court. That's when you see Hightower go back and serve, but she also has to defend, and that's something that middle blockers don't often do, is go back and defend. So valiant effort there, but not quite there.
Tipped over and down. That was a great job by Mecca Freeman. That set was a little bit far in front of her, but she corralled it well. Madison Coates, we're talking about that flat, rotationless serve that she has. Pushed back to Marceline, and Coates was caught going the wrong way.
Yep, saw that angle coming off of the hand. She was getting ready to go up and be a setter, and then after it hit CatEye Price, it just ricocheted the wrong direction.
And this now feels like set number 2, where Jackson State raced away to an early lead. Bethune-Cookman went on a run towards the middle of that set, but just couldn't string enough together. Bell calmly plays that one. That one's out of play. No touch on the way through, point BCU.
And a lucky point there after a pretty big miscommunication off of that first serve. So you will see if BCU can kind of corral things back in off of this Jasmine Moore serve.
Wildcats down 8-4, trying to keep this game going in set number 4. And not with serves like that from Jasmine Moore. That one goes long. Her second service error of the match.
A little bit of a miss on the toss there.
And a serve like that with so many moving parts has got to be tough to get consistent.
Exactly. That's the thing. The more simple your serve is, the more easily repeatable it is. Really with anything, the more simple it is, the more easily repeatable. So when you have one of those big jump top spin serves with such a high toss and so much time for anything to go wrong, it makes it very, very difficult to make consistent.
Both teams had a chance at that point. Eventually it is Jackson State. Last touch by CatEye Price, and they take a 10-4 lead. Marceline with the ace, off the hands of Delahousse.
And you see them coming together in the court. You hope that this is the Wildcats pulling together going, look, listen, guys, we just need to calm back down, go back to playing our default volleyball. We train this every day, so let's go out here and do what we know how to do.
Bell first contact, coach tight to the net. And go back to number 9, A.J. Simmons.
And there it goes. When you get that first contact, you give yourselves an opportunity to run the offense the way you want to run it. We're seeing that when everything is clean, the Wildcats are doing a great job of getting in and taking care of business the way they need to. The problem is that most of the game is played out of system. Most of the game is played in the kind of grimy, less pretty plays, and so you've got to be able to capitalize on those as well.
Williams couldn't catch up to the off-speed set. Wildcats will take 2 straight points, now down 11-6. Bell serves. Bryant, platform, set, far side, blocks. Hightower, right place, right time. Delahousse joined her. Three straight for BCU. Bell still serving. Quick middle, in, barely, but in.
Good swing there, good turn back to the right side of the court.
And that was Jordan Jones, who's made a couple of errors today, but connected clean on that one. And a quick 3-point swing for BCU has been stopped. Off the tape, more slides to meet it. Coates pushes it far side. Delahousse down in the corner. Callender will come in to serve. Simmons will check out. Mecca Freeman in for her. Freeman 4 kills today. A.J. Simmons is swinging .444 in this match.
She is doing a fantastic job. And Hightower hitting .364. I mean, they've got some people being very, very efficient.
The errors will kill you. That's the 9th service error for Bethune-Cookman.
And yes, they will.
And they've happened at really inopportune times. You just get a side out, you get service back.
That's the hardest part about a service error is that you often are coming out of, you're often coming out of the other team scoring a point. So to turn around and just kind of hand it away like that, not give yourselves an opportunity to actually do anything, it's a real punch in the gut.
Freeman with a swing. Jackson State out of sorts. Callender again. Off the block and out. Gaddis couldn't keep that alive. Hightower does it on offense this time.
And a good job managing there by Hightower. That set was a little bit low, a little bit inside, but she came in, understood that she couldn't really take the big swing, and she bettered that ball by making sure she just drove it into the court.
Riley Davis, the freshman from San Antonio. Williams' first contact. It'll go back to her. Dug out by Collender. Bell back set. It goes down. B-CU points. And Jackson State wanted 4 touches because they didn't think they touched it at the nets. And once again, Coach Washington is out on the court talking to the up official. And she's already on a yellow card.
Yep. Have to play until you hear the ref's whistle. Refs miss calls all the time.
Gaddis sets to the middle. Powerful shot by Briggs, fought off by Bell. Outside, Moore. Blocked. Wildcats still trying to stick a foot under the tent, but down now 14-10. No, excuse me, 14-9. The scoreboard and our stat program have different scores. Now they match up. It's 14-10.
I think they're sorting it out down there at the table.
What a hit. A powerful hit by Jasmine Moore. She's the team leader in kills for a reason. Tonight, only 6.
Got to see more production out of that. When you have a volume hitter like that, you need them to be efficient, but you also have to use everybody else in such a way that they can be.
Bryant sets it up. Briggs, wide open space in the middle of the floor, and that's easy for a hitter of Hope Briggs' caliber. Only just a freshman. Huge upside for Hope Briggs in the next 4 years.
And kind of like last weekend, I mean, it really has become a battle of the right sides. There's a lot going out to these opposite hitters, and they're doing a fantastic job between Simmons for the Wildcats and Briggs for the Tigers.
That'll just be a tame play off the poor set. Dumped to the middle. Gaddis. Her 3rd kill, and all of them right like that. 3 kills on 4 total attacks for Gaddis.
And that's where you were talking before. Yeah, it stinks to lose the point, and you don't want to lose anything, but you have to understand that it's 3 kills, 3 points out of the entire 3.5 sets that you've played so far. So you kind of take that, you say, all right, you know, I'll do my best to get to the next one, but you got to let it go.
That last swing went back to Katel Price, and she placed it perfectly in the corner to immediately side back out for Bethune-Cookman. Coates will serve after we dry the floor. Just like basketball, don't want anybody slipping, rolling an ankle.
Absolutely not.
Especially on wood and not some of the softer material that we see some teams play on. Coates, first contact Marceline, back to Briggs, dumps it over, Bell recovers. Coates, blocked. Simmons went up for it, Jones denied her.
And Simmons was diving into the court. That set was inside, but rather than keeping it with her angle of approach and driving it into the cross court, deep cross court, she tried to cut it back down the line. She actually had passed her blockers and had open space in front of her if she had gone cross court, but because she turned her thumb down and she drove that ball back into the line, she went right into that block.
Coates, that's a tight pass, but down the line it goes. Jasmine Moore has been the most effective hitter for Bethune-Cookman in this 4th set. Jackson State trying to take this 3-1 win. Bethune-Cookman a long way back, down by 5.
Wildcats fans getting a little whistle, backing up off the court there.
Moore off the tape. That's a tough dig. On the slide, though, Tigers win the point. And that slide attack, as you said earlier in the broadcast, Tim, it's not something the Wildcats are used to seeing because they don't run it. And Coach Williams calls a timeout. 8 points from Pater. All right, Jackson State. Advertise with Wildcat Nation. B-CU Athletics is offering sponsorship opportunities across the CatEye Network. For more information, you can reach out to Bethune-Cookman Athletic Communications at bcusportsinfo@cookman.edu. The final game of this 4-game homestand for Bethune-Cookman is on Sunday at noon, when the Wildcats will welcome the Devilettes of Mississippi Valley State to Moore Gymnasium. You can catch that game live on the CatEye Network, or if you're in the area, come down and join us at Moore Gymnasium on BCU's campus. Trying to look for something in the statistics, Taylor, that gives BCU a light here in this fourth set, but getting outkilled 51-36 is the big stat there.
That's a tough pill to swallow. I mean, especially after having such a great third set. You know that you can play with this team. You know that you can beat, their level of play, but you're just not executing. And so this is where the Wildcats really have to kind of look at themselves and say, how can we do this better? What are we going to do to turn this match around?
Jasmine Moore has taken the team lead in kills for Bethune-Cookman with 8. Hightower has 7, Delahousse 6, Simmons 5. Marceline serving for Jackson State, up 18-13. Essence Bell has to dive to save that one. Mia Delahousse blocked. Price saves it. Delahousse again. Off the block and down for a point. You saw Morgan Chambers, the graduate student, got to tap her chest and go, that was my bad. Haven't seen her on the floor much at all today. She's the tallest player Jackson State has at 6'2". Morgan started her college career at the University of Central Florida. BCU, a couple of touches towards the net. Simmons over the block. Bryant plays it. Off the fingertips, kept alive. Bell plays it over with the second touch. Bryant. Chambers. Bell a diving dig. They'll play it over to buy Essence Bell time. Williams on the swing to her opposite number, Coates. And a drive from Delahousse. Wins probably the best rally of the match.
Absolutely. That was a great long rally by both teams, and then BCU just made sure that they stayed in the game long enough to capitalize on their opportunities.
Bell pushes the serve over. Marceline first contact. Touched off the hands of Hightower. Bell will platform set. Simmons fought off by Bryant. Williams at the edge. It stays in play. BCU survives. Williams all the way on the other side. Jones tools the block. 19-15 Jackson State.
And one of the hardest things about that slide attack is that as you're coming across the court, once you jump into the air, you actually torque and rotate, and it changes where your body is contacting the ball. So rather than the blockers being able to see your angle of approach and line up in front of you and take that charge, they have to kind of come with you and almost guess where your shoulder is going to be after you torque.
Tough first contact by Jackson State. Set up that hit from Hightower. Jackson State keeps it alive. And then Hightower could direct it back across the nets. 5 points from Paydirt for Jackson State. And we've kind of seen in this fourth set, Jackson State settle down. Not that time from Bryant as she plays it in the net, but kind of settle down and get back to playing the volleyball we saw in the first 2 sets.
Absolutely, and so we're waiting to see if, how the Wildcats are going to respond. Are they going to be the Wildcats of set 3, or are they going to be the Wildcats of set 2 and 1? And that's what we're kind of seeing play out in real time right now.
Callender, a high floating serve. Fingertips at the net. Callender, high tower blocked. That was Kiana Robinson, the transfer from CSU Fullerton, the graduate student, who only had 25 blocks in 3 seasons out in California. This season, she's already got 33. Gaddis Tipped over, but B-CU was in the net.
Looks like they called a double contact there on Calendar. And those are tough, as a setter, when you get those tight passes, you try to get up and get your hands on the ball and get a good set out. But the tighter it is, the more you start to worry about not being in the net, and it gets very, very difficult.
Big swing from Freeman. Jackson State plays it off the back row. Calendar has to come and get it. Bell, second touch. Freeman again, long. And that was set a little bit behind her head. Had to reach back for it. Couldn't drag it down into the court. 2 points away for Jackson State. They have raced away 4 of the last 5 points for the Tigers. In a fourth set that was close. B-CU still fighting. Mia Delahousse with a nice swing.
And a great job there by Calendar to reverse the flow, kick it back to Delahousse, and try to give themselves an opportunity. Give Freeman a second to, kind of come back into herself after that miss and get them out of this rut.
Riley Davis is the one you want serving for Bethune-Cookman in a tight spot. That's a great job at the net by Hightower. And Williams all out of sorts, can't even get it inside the pins. Wildcats hanging on. Another good serve. Williams. Bell into the ceiling. It lands right on the wrists of Hightower, and the Wildcats are still alive. Hightower does enough to keep this one in play. That's a poor first touch, and the Wildcats again ride their luck.
Fantastic play there. Really smart heads-up play from Jasmine Moore to tip that ball down the line and force the Jackson State middle back player to kind of go and run that down. When you get into those long rallies, you start to get really tired, and it makes it harder to run and go pick up those soft shots.
In the middle, Bell, another huge dig. Calendar dumps it over. Williams a swing. And the deflection off the block was just enough to keep it away from Riley Davis. Match point, Jackson State. As in set 2, the run from Bethune-Cookman may have just come a little too late. We shall see. But the all-conference performer puts it in the net. But now we see Hightower going back to serve Bell off the court.
Yep, this is a tough situation to be in. You're really going to have to come together as a team to play your role very, very well right now.
Pushed over and long. That was Marceline, and we know she hasn't had the best of days swinging under 100 on the percentage for her. 24-21. And that's it. Myara Hightower puts it in the net. And the Jackson State Tigers will take a 3-1 win. And well, that's not how you want to end a match.
Yeah, that's a hard one. You kind of go home after something like that and really play it back in your head. But this is kind of been the story of the match. Unforced errors, missed serves, missed swings, just really started to kind of shoot B-CU in the foot and make it very, very difficult for them to get a run going or get any momentum to really sway in their favor.
Well, outside the third set where the Wildcats hit 360 and had 11 kills, they did have 14 kills in the fourth set, so the Wildcats grew into the match, but never really had an answer for Jackson State's late runs in sets. And once again, the kind of fatigue late in sets kind of bit the Wildcats again tonight.
Yeah, that's something that, you're really going to start to, I think, see Coach Williams and Coach Goodrich, really hammer home in practice, is that we have to play fast. We have to make practices more difficult, more fatiguing than the match, so that when you get into the match, it's slow, it's easy, it's what you want to do. And that's something that you can really drive home during or in your practice gym.
Final stats from today's game. Again, it's a 3-1 sets victory for Jackson State. They go to 6-6 on the season, 2-0 in SWAC play. Bethune-Cookman falls to 1-12, 1-2 in conference play. Jackson State 54 kills to 40, but Jackson State had more errors, 32 to Bethune-Cookman's 21. Bethune-Cookman in the last two sets kind of played very clean. At the first two sets, kind of let him get away from him. Total attacks 145 to 118 in favor of Jackson State. Bethune-Cookman actually had a better hitting percentage for the match, 161 to 152, and that's the second straight game where the Wildcats have had a better hitting percentage and lost 3-1.
And that's where you start to see that the serve and pass game is really where it kind of comes into play. I mean, Jackson State had their first contact just that much better than the Wildcats for the majority of the game. And even though they're getting outswung in the hitting efficiency category, it still goes in their favor because they've got the opportunities, they're giving themselves a chance, and they're taking away opportunities from the Wildcats by making sure that they have a great attack.
Service aces, both teams had 3, 10 service errors for Bethune-Cookman, 8 for Jackson State. Those errors really came back to bite it. Bethune-Cookman at inopportune moments. They had 2 sets end on service errors, both set 2 and set 4.
And that's where we start to talk about the efficacy, like we were talking about before. I mean, you wonder what the value of the ball is when it's in play. So am I getting great serves when they get it, or are they kind of diming that pass and making a great pass to their setter? It would be interesting to see what those efficacy numbers were.
Both teams had 10 blocks. Getting into some personal statistics for B-CU, Delahousse and Moore both had 9 kills. Callender swung 333 on 3, had 1 kill on 3 attempts on that swing, but the best non-setter was Hightower, 267. Callender had 21 assists. Callender, Moore, and Bell had the 3 aces. Bell had 14 digs to lead the Wildcats. Hightower, 6 total blocks for her today, and she's going to continue to be up at the top of those rankings in the SWAC. For Jackson State, Briggs and Williams both had 13 kills. Marceline had 10, even though she only hit .38. Total attacks, Williams had 43. They really fed her the ball for the majority of tonight. Hitting percentage, Gaddis 750. 3 of her 4 dump attempts were scored. Of the main players, Briggs hit .310. Assists, Gaddis had 24. Dove had 18. Digs, Bryant had 16. Blocks, Robinson had 4. Williams 3. And Jones 3. So not a lot of solo blocks for the Tigers today. They got it done as a group. Once again, your final score, Jackson State 3, Bethune-Cookman 1. That set score 25-20, 25-20, 25-14 in favor of Bethune-Cookman, and then 25-21 in favor of Jackson State in set number 4. That'll do it for us here from Moore Gymnasium. We'll be back on Sunday as the Wildcats take on the Devilettes of Mississippi Valley State, trying to even their conference record at 2-2 before they head to SWAC pool play. For our entire team here at Moore Gymnasium, and my co-commentator, Taylor Pritchett, my name is Michael Trivillo. We'll see you on Sunday.